Okay, great. Welcome to another meeting. Today is Wednesday, August 13th. It is the Housing and Homelessness Committee. Can I have quiet in the audience, please? I have my colleagues, Councilmembers Jurado and Blumenfield here. Ms. Ferrano, if you could call the roll.
Councilmember Rahman.
I am here.
Councilmember Jurado.
Here.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Present.
3 members and a quorum, Madam Chair.
Great. Today we have 9 items to consider on the agenda, and hopefully we will get through all of them today and won't be quite as surprisingly long as last time. Item 1 is a CAO funding report on the Alliance settlement and a BOE report on an interim housing and navigation center in CD5. Item 2 is a CAO report on the homelessness emergency declaration. It's the 9th quarterly report covering the period from May through June of 2025. Item 3 is a CAO report about the county's Emergency Centralized Response Center, the ECRC, which is a new county, I don't know what it is, a department or a cluster that allows for homelessness response people engaged in that to come together and work from the same place. Item 4 is an Economic and Workforce Development Department report on a multi-year plan to scale up employment programs to transition people who are experiencing homelessness into the workforce, which I think is really exciting, very positive. Item 5 and item 6 and item 7 are all Prop HHH Administrative Oversight Committee and other reports. Item 8 is continued from last week, and it is it's the motion related to finding funding for LASA to provide cash flow because of the restructuring of the HAP program, where there's a break in the payments. And item 9 is a motion to transfer funds to pay relocation benefits to former tenants of an unpermitted rental property in CD7. So at this point, we can take public comment on all items. Since there's so few people here in the audience, and since so many of the names written here are vile words that I have no interest in saying, anybody who wants to speak, please move to the side of the chambers and make your way up. Thank you. Oh, and sorry, Mr. Custodio, please give them instructions. I apologize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No apologies necessary. To the members of the public, when it is your turn to speak, please state the name you signed up under, which of the agenda items you would like to speak on, and whether you would like to provide general public comment. You have 1 minute per item, up to 2 minutes total for items on the agenda, and 1 minute for general public comment, if you wish, for a maximum speaking time of up to 3 minutes per person. Please speak to the agenda items before beginning general public comment. We will inform you when your time is up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you're not speaking on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you are on topic, you will get 1 brief warning from me. If you do not immediately get clearly on topic, or if you stay off topic, stray off topic, you will forfeit the rest of your time, and we will move on to the next speaker.
Thank you very much. And Sergeant, I did hear someone yodeling. I don't know if you could help me identify who the yodeler was. Was it Mr. Herman? Great. Mr. Herman, your yodeling is disrupting the meeting. That's your first warning. And if you disrupt the meeting again, you will be asked to leave. Thank you. Speaker, go ahead. You can start this individual's time.
Start with item number 2, this individual committee president or nonsense. It's a homeless emergency declaration. Since the beginning of the declaration of a homeless emergency, and then what we have seen is no action on the street. What we're seeing is like a mass arrest of the homeless people instead of providing services. And then this green individual keep saying that we continue to do the outreach work on Skid Row, but what we see on Skid Row every single day, that this green individual never go down Skid Row. This green individual never go down there to see the situation. They do not even know that Skid Row does not even have a toilet to use. This is so-called outreach. Now let's move on to item number 4. It's about the transition program for homeless and then getting a job for homeless or something. Yeah, I definitely believe this program because my friend Jason Reedy is trying to, getting out of the homeless program, is trying to get a job. I'm here in full support of my friend Jason Reedy right there. But the problem is that, again, this individual are not doing much. We have like 80,000, 75,000, 90,000 people working on the street. That means we need another 100,000 different jobs. And then ask this individual that how is she able to create another 90,000 jobs for every single homeless person who currently living on the street of Los Angeles? Does this individual have an answer for it? Does our city attorney ever speak with this individual about those questions? Absolutely no. But, whatsoever. Nonsense is always a nonsense. It doesn't matter how many times she's right here. Now, let's move on to general public comment. I have been advocated for so many times that for homeless services, you need to take care of the toilet, you need to take care of the shower, you need to take care of the vaccination, healthcare, or whatever, diapers, underwear, socks, or whatsoever. My friend Jason Reedy currently does not have any of those. And then whatever homeless individual right here, the homeless committee chair, are continuing saying, we are doing so much, oh my God, we are making so much progress, at the same time that the 80,000 people living on the street, they are still there. And she has been saying the same fake words, fake promise, over and over again, and then I do not see the homeless population ever decrease. If not, it is actually increased every time she is saying she's working towards the homeless resolution. But thank you, this individual right here.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, your name and the items you're speaking on.
Andrew Gravener, all items and general public comment.
Great. You have 2 minutes and 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have item 2, which is related to, looks like the mayor's emergency declaration. So in extent, the inside starving program, where the mayor sweeps an encampment, terrorizes the unhoused people there, and then puts like 3 of them in a cheap motel on the other side of the city with no blankets or resources or anything like that. So it's showing that people are not getting housed from this program. They're just being put in a hotel with terrible conditions for extended periods of time. And half the time they're not even getting it, but yet everyone else there is still swept and forced to move to, again, because that's what the city does. That's the city's longtime policy, is sweeps. So same, looks like that's probably what 3 is too, is the same emergency declaration. So we have 4, which is employment programs. It seems like this is probably a good thing. I'm not really familiar with it, but I mean, if it's a reasonable program to get people jobs. What?
It's a good thing. You'll be excited. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, but I assume if it is good, then that's good, I guess. So we have, let's see, we have item 9, which looks like as long as people are getting properly relocated, if there's an actual problem with the place and people are getting properly relocated with assistance for moving, not just, oh, we're going to give you an apartment, good luck with moving, then okay, I guess. If there's a problem with the place, as long as they're not being thrown out on the street, I guess. Okay, general public comment. One thing I've noticed over the last week or so, as we've seen Trump's takeover of DC, he's talked about targeting unhoused people there. And something I've noticed about his language and what he wants to do is that it's actually a lot more similar to what your policy is than one might think it is. It's basically Trump just takes out all the pretending to care about unhoused people and just does it a little bit more violently and in a more fascist way. But overall, the policy that you have is sweeps, not housing, not services, It's just pushing them down the street again, taking away their belongings, all to appease rich people, so rich people don't have to see them on their drive to work, basically. That's it. It's nothing about care or anything to actually help the unhoused people.
Okay, next speaker. And to anyone who arrived late to this meeting, since there's so few speakers in the audience, we're asking anyone who wants to make public comment just to make your way to the left side of the chambers and just line up and we'll allow you up. Sorry, please go ahead.
Hello, Peggy Lee Kennedy with the Venice Justice Committee, and
What items are you speaking on today, Peggy Lee?
general comment and item 2.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item, 1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead. Thank you.
The problem I have with the committee just saying, okay, I approve of this report, is that you're approving of some really bad spending policy. You know, if you keep approving the spending on, like, let's just say the RVs or the vehicle housed, all these vehicles are being towed and destroyed, right? And then most of them are on the street. They're not housed, and you call shelter, temporary shelter housing. So it's really hard to know if they're really housed. And even in the permanently housed category, a lot of it's time limited, right? So it's a tragedy that you spend this money and you're not looking at real results, right? You're not saying permanent housing. I spent this money and these are the results. I'm an accountant, so I think that's really an important feature that you guys should be looking at in any approval of spending. And as far as my general public comment, it's really scary. I'm wearing my Manzanar shirt here, my Manzanar Memorial shirt, because that's what Trump has in mind for unhoused people. And I don't really I see the LA city sort of like fascist light, you know, compared to him. What are you doing to resist that shit when it comes here? I mean, he's already dragging people off the street who are brown. You know, if they're brown, he's gonna take them down, right? And that's the fact. So now, if you're unhoused, you get to go to jail or to some shelter, who knows where, maybe Manzanar, right? And I mean, what are we doing to resist that as a city? Really, what? Because we're not doing it with our cops, that's for sure. And I don't see what you're doing. You know, putting out statements is nice, but it doesn't stop what's happening. We have to think of real strategies right now.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. And I just wanted to draw your attention to the work that we're doing on performance indicators, which is moving forward in the Homeless Strategy Committee, which meets tomorrow in the afternoon at the CIO's team. Might be interesting to answer some of the questions you brought up about transparency and accountability.
What time?
2:30? What time is it? 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, sorry. There's 2 meetings tomorrow, so I wanted to make sure. Go ahead, speaker, your name and the items you're speaking on. Go ahead. Welcome.
Hello, thank you. Hi, Dexter O'Connell with Safe Place for Youth. Genuine pleasure to be here to speak on items numbers 1 and 4, although I will take them in the opposite order.
Okay, you have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you. As I mentioned, it's a genuine pleasure to be here with all of you today. Thank you very much. I'll start on number 4. We are extremely in favor of the intentional expansion of employment programming for unhoused youth. And we hope to be contacted by EWDD to be intentional collaborators in this work so that it is actually effective. Dexter O at safeplaceforyouth.org. On item number 1, we are extremely pleased to be here and share our thanks to Mr. Warma in the back corner for the opportunity to participate in the process of putting together the 62-unit Melrose site. We have lacked shelter on the west side, and I know some will question whether this site is the west side. That's a question for the geographers. But we've lacked shelter on the west side for too long for young people, especially after the closure of the 54 beds in our Venice Bridge home. And we're extremely pleased to have this option available. We look forward to collaborating with the city on the cost of furnishing the units in the building, these 62 beds and frames, etc. And I want to offer that we will be available. I'll be here for any questions about our approach at Safe Place for Youth, our work, our excitement, our enthusiasm for this new venue, and the opportunities that it will present to help our members transition from the streets to longer-term housing. Thank you very much, and we're extremely excited for your approval of item number 1 so we can get ready to open that bad boy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that enthusiastic comment. Next speaker. Your name and the items you're speaking on, and once again, a reminder to all attendees, if you want to speak, please make your way to the left side of the chamber. Go ahead, sir.
Apologies, I'm not that chipper. My name's Adam from the Los Angeles Community Action Network in Skid Row. Public comment number 2.
Go ahead. 1 minute, 1 minute.
Great. I'm just going to use some old talking points for number 2 that I wrote a few months ago because unfortunately they're still pertinent. Inside Safe is a complaint-driven shelter program while its stated aims are to bring people inside. Language of people being, quote, housed is laughable. Shelters are not housing, particularly when residents can be and are kicked out anytime. The number of people that have been exited from Inside Safe either to the street or a casket is higher than the number of people who have transitioned to permanent housing, the majority of which is time-limited subsidies, which doesn't sound very permanent. If Inside Safe was actually meant to help people, people would be able to access one of these shelter beds when they want to. But we know that Inside Safe operations happen at encampments with the most complaints or that are on a corner that housed people and business owners see as an eyesore. It has absolutely nothing with identifying those most in need. Inside Safe ultimately contributes to the same violence and death as the daily sweeps that happen across Skid Row and the whole city daily. That doesn't make it onto the mayor's Twitter account or into feel-good news stories about locking arms. Apologies, I did exit Twitter a few months ago when one of the officers that works in this room harassed me trying to do it anonymously, but he's not that smart, so it wasn't very anonymous. But yeah, just looking, another thing about the number 2 in public comment, if I'm reading it right, you look at the percentages by race of people that go into Inside Safe, it seems like it's predominantly white people, and we know that the numbers, no? Am I reading that wrong? Okay, I'm reading that wrong. Thank you for that correction. Would love to have some clarity on that. It's a shame if politicians, progressive politicians, basically say that LA is already in line with some of Trump's directives, and I'd like for folks in the audience to attend a No Olympics event on Saturday at All Power Books from 4 to 6 p.m. about what is a national safe security event. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, your name, welcome.
Well,
Go ahead, sir.
it is good afternoon, right?
Good afternoon. Yes, indeed.
Housing is a human right.
You can go ahead and start this individual's time.
Housing is a human right. Housing is a human right for a great, great city. Woo! I'm gonna start out, first of all, general public comment, just like to address a few things. I love my city. I love this city, born and raised here in Los Angeles, Dorsey High School, 6th Avenue Elementary School, and on the Jefferson Park area. We got a great city, y'all. Got to recognize that. All eyes are on Los Angeles, all over the world, y'all. The Olympics are coming up, and the Olympics are coming up. Okay, let me hurry up. 5 homeless people a day are dying in the streets. City needs to step up and continue to address the unhoused situation. Seeing that Healthy Housing Hope Triple H is expiring in 2026, I believe. It was kind of slowed up because of COVID. Need a report on the projects already completed and will be completed. Acknowledging, the workforce to employ former unhoused folks, that's a good thing. So, city step up. Can I get it right on?
Right on, Mr. Pancake. Thank you very much for your comments. Next speaker, your name and the items you're speaking on. Welcome.
My name is Will. I'm just here for public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. I'm just going to ask that you pull the microphone down a little bit so that we can hear your comment. Thank you very
Can you hear
much.
me okay?
Yes, and you'll have to just get a little closer to it. Apologies.
Okay,
Thanks.
here we go. My comment is about a specific location. I'm an activist, I'm an organizer, and one of the places that I organize with is an ABH shelter in Los Feliz. The shelter is completely run down. The people are eating moldy food. The security there is abusive. What other kind of issues could I talk about? When the people in this facility are trying to meet, security is thwarting the meetings, their ability to come together. They're stealing the people's things. And I just, several times, our group, I work with LA Tenants Union, several times we've come to your office, so we're asking for you to please reply. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
ABH.
Yes, thank you. Next speaker, your name and the items you're speaking on, and you can start this individual's time. Thank you. Go ahead, speaker. Your time is running.
You don't even wait till I get up to the microphone. What a bunch of louses you people are. On item 1, on the alliance thing, you have a fiscal impact statement. Where is it? Fiscal policy statement. Where is it? All you got to do is put in attachments. Duh, you can't figure that out? You're shaking your head, yeah? No wonder this place is a mess. You people can't run money. We know how to run money. You don't let us run the money. How do you think I shut down the jail that's been shut down to this day? Because of an attachment at the Board of Supervisors, fools. And have they not built that jail for the last 7 years? Well, you're talking to the guy who shut it down. Maybe I know a bit about money that you don't. I've shut down your bonds, closed out your police department, didn't I? And you treat me like trash, you prevent me from having health care, and you laugh about it. Now, on to the point of, you're going to get jobs for who? You're shoving a bunch of your people out onto the street. The statistics show there's no more jobs, so naturally Trumpler has to go make sure that you're not going to get the job reports anymore. So where are these people going to get jobs when there's going to be no jobs? You don't want this city taken over. You need to tell them to take the Olympics and throw them in the trash can. Because nobody's coming to them, not with a $15,000 bond, and 20 countries told, we won't let you in here anyway.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you, City Attorney, for doing your due diligence.
Yeah, for once, somebody did their job. Because your city attorney can't do their job. Do you know what they were saying over there in Judge Carter's courtroom for 2 days? They called Judge Carter a piece of trash. They called his people pieces of trash. They called every judge and every federal court and the United States pieces of trash. They use the same exact words as Trumpler. Well, let me tell you something. You know why he won and you guys lost? Because he didn't lie to us. He told us he's a piece of trash, and he is. And you say that you're good people, but you're as rotten as he is. You do the same damn things he does while you say you're our friends, and you're not. You people are as corrupt as they get, because when you keep a senior citizen...
Thank you so much. Next speaker. Your time is up, speaker.
that shows that
Next
you're-
speaker, your name, actually, you can start this individual's time. Thank you. Your time is going, sir.
Speaker, if you're not going to speak, we're just going to move it on to the next
Excuse
speaker.
me, sir, that is protected free speech, symbolic free speech, right, Bob? Of course it is. It's my fucking time, it's my content.
I don't see your dance moves on the
Yeah, you
agenda,
do.
so
What? Here, is this good for number one?
we can move
Well, hold
to
on,
general
is that
public comment.
acceptable, Bob? That's an opinion of number one I'm giving right now. Is that acceptable?
You're at general public comment.
No,
You
no,
had
no,
an
still-
opportunity to speak
no,
on
no,
an
no,
item
asshole.
on the agenda.
Give me my fucking time back.
No.
Give me my fucking time back. Give me my time back. Stop stealing. Stop stealing. Stop stealing. Stop stealing my time. Give me my time back. That's symbolic free speech. Give me my time back. Give me my time back. Tell him, Bob, he needs to give me my time back. We had a conversation on the fourth floor briefly. Give him my time back. Give me my time back. Give me my time back.
If you're not
Bob.
going to
Give me
speak
my
on an
fucking
item
time
on the
back.
agenda, we will
Give
forfeit the
me
20
my
seconds you have
time
left,
back.
and we will move on to the next
Stop
speaker.
stealing my time. Stop stealing my time. Give me my time back, Bob. Give me my time back. 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 Give me my fucking time back.
Okay, speaker, general public comment, I believe.
Okay, so now in general public comment, we will now.
Start this individual's 1 minute.
See that, city attorney? You're such a fucking putz. So now, dumb fuck, now you will know the truth that one of your council members tomorrow at 8:30 a.m., Bob, you're invited, in Department 42, gets his new federal criminal indictment charges revealed. And there's two witnesses, witness one and witness two. So when Noodle has got her fingers in her hair, she's gonna go, that's got nothing to do with me, I'm a noodle. Noodle. My rich husband from Hollywood's gonna protect me. I'm not gonna get in trouble. I didn't steal $2 billion of federal money, right, Bob? Tell her, Bob, right? $2 billion you stole from the federal government. I want it
Thank
back
you so
right
much.
now.
Your time is up. Next speaker, please. Okay, you can start this individual's time. Thank you.
Thank you, dumbass. Now, to the other dumbass attorney here, for the record, this is my symbolic speech and the way I think on item number one and the options that David O. Carter told me and Donald J. Trump told me personally to say, fuck the attorney on this record today and fuck the other assholes that keep stealing our public time by your Brown Act violations because you can't handle your thick skin of criticism, you little pussies. So I'm here in the pace of progress to show how you failed in the specific performance for housing, for the crisis on homelessness, and I'll use the term, let's refer to the legal settlement of $1.8 million fucking dollars that dumbass attorney and all your dumbass attorneys have failed to produce a clean record. And that's the reason why Donald J. Trump has his business in LA to fuck with dumbass politicians, Bob. I hope you enjoyed that big burrito, and I hope you stuffed it. Stuff that big burrito, Bob. Yeah, look at that smile. Looks like the shit that I pour out in the toilet on that porcelain bowl. And I'm making reference, Mr. Bob Badingo, to the complex issues of supportive services. You could have bought me a burrito. I never would be here right now because I'd be fucking asleep, not stealing your time. You get it, mommy? Noodle, 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 noodle. Now into my general public comment. Brandenburg versus Ohio, 395, 444, 1969. The Jews must go back to Israel and fight and die in your bloody war, the bloody homeless crisis you create in America. I'm here to save America, Noodle. Where are your 2 kids? Where is your mother and father? I want them to hear this news, that America is in control of one president, Donald J. Trump, and I'm glad we have ICE, because I want to cool your ass down, Ramen. You got nothing good out of that noodle hair of yours as you flickered around behaving like you're so cute behind your goddamn husband's job.
Thank you so much. Okay. Let's take some items on consent. I was going to suggest 1, 2, 5, and 6. Oh, sorry. And I'm at this time, since there's no other speakers, I'm going to close public comment. Actually, sorry, 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7 on consent, unless there's questions.
I have questions for 2 and 7.
Okay, so let's do 1, 5, and 6.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brano, if you could call the roll on those items.
Councilmember Rahman.
Yes.
Councilmember Hirado.
Yes.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Aye.
3 ayes, and these items are approved.
Okay, great. So let's move to, for items, let's start with item 8, since we pushed that over from last time and we have LASA staff here. If you could read item 8 into the record.
Item number 8 is a motion, Raman Yaroslavsky, relative to identifying funding for a cash flow loan in the amount of $9,620,151 for Q2 funding requested by the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority.
Great, and we have LASA staff here to brief us on this and answer questions, as well as CAO. And I did want to flag that, you know, some of this work that we're doing as they're making their way up to the table, some of the work that we're doing here to identify funds for cash flow are connected to that partial but already very complicated flow chart that we saw last time of contract approvals. And unless that we're able to make real headway on simplifying contracting with homeless services overall, we will continue to find ourselves in tough situations. Welcome, if you could introduce yourselves. And we already had a presentation on this item before last week. It was, I think it was in June. And I don't know whether other members needed a refresher on why we're here discussing this, or whether we can jump right into questions. You need a refresher? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, if you want to provide a very brief overview of why we're here, we can move to questions, and I would emphasize the brief. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Rachel Johnson, acting CEO of LASA. So this is to our state funding for HAP is delayed this year significantly. It was delayed last year, and we didn't receive last year's entitlement that would start July 1 until February. So this year, we're not expecting to receive it till March. As LASA does not generate revenue, we went to our funders of the JPA, the city and the county, to request cash flow to cover the gap until we receive the HAP entitlement. The agreement that we discussed with the city and county, and the city and county came to an understanding of that the county would take the first quarter and allow us to use the cash flow that first quarter and allow us to use Measure A funding to stack it so providers can bill down that first. And then the city would help support for the second quarter, and then anything in Q3 would be a split between the city and the county.
Thanks for that briefing. I think as a matter of course for committees and reporting for folks that are not able to be in the room and working class folks that maybe don't remember the last meeting, having a brief overview at the top I think is helpful for folks that are just dialing in who may not have that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions, Ms. Rado?
You can go first. Thank you. I do.
I've spent a lot of time with staff outside of the meeting, understanding this issue, and I think I still have questions about Q3, but for Q2, I understand the need for this, and I'm comfortable moving this forward. Mr. Blumenfield, I understand you have questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have questions, and I also have an amendment which I circulated, which basically says that the CAO to identify a non-reserve fund for the cash flow
That's fine.
loan.
Yeah, I'll second that amendment.
Okay. And it adds further that the CAO requests the county to cover the full Q3 loan amount.
Sorry, Mr. Blumenfield, if I could ask you also to bring your microphone a little closer
Yeah.
to you.
Okay, well, you saw the amendment. In addition to the non-reserve, it says, add further move that the CAO request the county to cover the full Q3 loan amount as part of the amendment.
That's fine.
After we had the discussion last time, we were talking about the access centers and how there's a variance in some of them. I went that week to the access center, Hope the Mission in the district, and found they were already closed. So it was odd for me to find that we were asking for loan money for an access center that had already been closed. Because I went to go just check on several of them. So I just worry about that. What else is in here that I may not know about in terms of what we're spending the money on? As I mentioned before, we have to do something because we want to make sure people don't end up on the streets. And I get that. And we have our service providers that need the funding. I am worried about what happens when this loan comes due. And I know you're saying, well, it's just a loan, we're going to pay it back, but we're going to be in, tell me that we're not going to be in the position when we pay it back that, that we're going to be told, if you ask us to pay this back, people will be on the streets. And we'll be in the very same place we're in now, except it will be us calling the loan, and we'll be looking like the bad guy throwing everybody on the streets when we're here trying to give you a loan for decisions that were made without us to begin with, in terms of the expenditure of some of the funds that went forward. So help assure me that I'm not going to be in that position when the loan is due. Like, where's the money going to come from?
If I can speak to the Access Center closure first, and your concern that we are requesting money for things that are closing. So there were a couple of Access Center providers that chose to close because we were not able to initiate contracts immediately because we needed to have assurances from the city and the county to be able to cash flow this. And without that, we couldn't issue explicit guidance to them that for sure we would have the funding and couldn't initiate the contracts. So there were a couple of providers that chose to close before the end of the fiscal year in anticipation of possibly not having funding. We are working with all the Access Center providers to plan out what the year will look like, including those that had closed, and having conversations about the possibility of reopening. With all of them, we are exploring how they can maximize the half year of funding and potentially fundraise either through philanthropy or other means, or identify other contracts that could continue the funding for those access centers through the remainder of the fiscal year, understanding the importance that they play in the system. As you all know, we work on a reimbursement model at LASA, so any provider that has closed its doors would not be able to request funding for services that are not being rendered. They can only request funding for contracts that are in place, that are signed, verified, and for services that have been verified and for billing that's been verified. And I'll let Janine speak to your second question about the assurances.
Well, and just on the access thing, like when we went to the Hollywood site, they said, oh, well, LASA already closed us. That's what they told us.
For the Salvation Army site in Hollywood, it's the same thing. They chose to close in advance of the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. It's just, I don't want to belabor it, but when we were talking about it, we were talking about loans for those access centers as if they were open and as if they were operating, and then they weren't.
Yeah, and essentially that was a week before they closed. And we weren't given advance notice by those providers that that was the action that they were taking.
Okay, so does it change the amount that LASA wants in the overall loan?
LASA would only be drawing, Janine Trejo, CFO for LASA. LASA would only be drawing down funds for the service providers that have signed their contracts and that are actually implementing the services. So for the service providers that have decided to close their doors and are not going to reopen them through December, we would not be drawing down funds. So whether you approve the total dollar amount or not, the line item budgets that we submit to LAHD identify each service provider and the amount of funding for them, and we would not be requesting funding for anybody that does not have an open access center.
Okay, so which sites are open?
At this point, across the county, we have verification of 3 site closures. One is planned reopening. And I am currently meeting with all the providers of all the access centers to engage in planning, as I said earlier, about how to maximize the funding that is 6 months of funding for the single adult centers this year, how they can maximize that, whether that is potentially amending hours to be able to extend the 6 months of funding throughout the contract year, or to identify other resources that could backfill the remaining 6 months to keep them open through the remainder of the fiscal year.
And for the ones that choose to close, can that money go to TLS or something like that?
So we, at this point, given where we are fiscally, we thought it sound to not reallocate those dollars immediately, so that we are not asking for additional unnecessary expenditures at the moment from either the city or the county, and we are looking at TLS as a potential use for those funds in next fiscal year, but we will be evaluating all of our system needs as we go through the fiscal year.
Okay, and then sort of big picture, to pay back the loan, what's the funding source that you're going to use?
The funding source is HAP 6. So the Los Angeles jurisdiction went through the application process together with all 6 jurisdictions, the county, the city, LASA, Long Beach, Pasadena, and Glendale, and the application being submitted. And so once that application is approved, the entitlements for every jurisdiction have already been released. And once those applications are approved and executed by the state, and the state issues the funding to each of the jurisdictions, that is when we would repay.
And when the state gives the money to LASA for that, they allow reimbursement of previous funds?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is in writing from the state.
Okay. And so, but then what then prospectively, that money is no longer there to continue those services. So what happens to the services when you pay back that loan?
The HAP 6 funding that is being requested is only for fiscal year 25-26. That's what the funding that we applied for is allocated to. All jurisdictions have different planning that they have done, but for LASA's entitlement, it is planned for 25-26.
So what happens?
So we are in active conversation with both city and county in terms of what is being funded by the LASA COC HAP dollars, and the not having a HAP 7, what the impact of that will be on next fiscal year and future fiscal years. One of the largest impacts will be on time-limited subsidies and on access centers for families and single adults. The family system has been primarily funded by the county, and we are looking at both the county and DPSS for additional funding for the access centers, the FSCs, for next fiscal year, as that does serve as the central access point for families experiencing homelessness. For TLS, we are working with both the city and the county on exiting as many people as possible to other housing during this fiscal year to be able to ramp down the number of slots that are currently active We had stopped enrollments in TLS, new housing placements in TLS in April in anticipation of this funding cliff that was created by loss of state funding, both the decrease in HAP as well as other funding sources from the state. And there, as a system, we are facing other fiscal cliffs at the end of this fiscal year that we're working with the county, the HI, and the new county department to plan for, as well as the city. We're in active conversation with CD4, the CAO, CLA, and others in planning this.
Okay, it just seems like a very depressing future. That there's, unlike in previous years, you're saying you're in these conversations, but we know what we've got from the feds, and we're being cut, slashed.
It is exceptionally depressing.
I'm looking at a...
Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. We're losing thousands of slots of funding, and at the same time that they're also, all their staff is potentially looking at job losses and things like that. It's really, really scary. It's the worst possible time for us to be going through this kind of institutional change. I can't tell you how bad it is, but, here we are, so we're all doing our best.
Yeah, no, and I get it, and I just want to make sure we're not just in prolonging this pain with our loan, that we're not creating a worse outcome at the end. But
Right.
I get it, and
Yes.
we don't really have a lot of choices.
We don't, and the reality is, we don't have, we're funding these homeless services dollars both from HAP and from our general fund. But we don't have staff on hand to be able to do this. It's not historically the work of the city, as you very well know. Yeah. And we've relied on LASA for that.
And
we could build up that capacity to do it, but it takes time, and we have a year to process what the county's changes are, and based on how long things go, things just move slowly in every government institution. So.
I'm more and more honestly warming to the idea that we contract directly with the county as another option, because I know a lot of reasons why we don't want to do that, but I also...
if we can get some level of accountability, I'm very open to that. I just haven't really seen that. Yeah.
That would be part of it, but we're on a cliff. I don't know, are there other cliffs? I'll ask LASA, in terms of fiscal cliffs out there. I know that with these cliffs, you don't have a lot of sources, so you come to the city and the county, and what are the other cliffs that are out there that we may not be looking at right this second?
I think that and this won't just affect loss of the system, but the county is facing a $150 million cliff as well.
From
what? Across the homeless service sector. So in the state, we are, losses have entitlement is $56 million.
But the only funding that the county uses for homelessness is Measure A funds. So I'm not sure what else.
Measure A in state.
So to clarify.
For LASA at least. I know they'd use it for other things, but.
Yeah. So the $150 million that Rachel is referencing,
We can't hear you, Nathaniel.
The $150 million fiscal challenge that Rachel mentioned is a structural deficit that is facing Measure A next year that Shri Todoroff, the director of the Homeless Initiative, shared in announcing the Measure A planned allocations for this fiscal year. It has to do with the increased rate for interim housing that the county is covering with one-time funds this year, but will have to be covered by Measure A next fiscal year, as well as the continued increased costs, both in terms of expansion and just inflationary increases for covering the costs of providing services and permanent supportive housing. But again, the other impact on Measure A is that there's been significant decreases in state funding. We lost tens of millions of dollars of funding for family homelessness from the state through the HSP program this year. The Encampment Resolution Fund grants are one-time grants. So two of LASA's grants are one sunset at June 30th, another is sunsetting during this fiscal year. The county also has an encampment resolution grant for Skid Row that also ends at the end of this fiscal year. So there are a number of one-time pots of money that are sunsetting. Additionally, yeah, the Measure A, passage of Measure A, while it's phenomenal in terms of the fact that we have a durable source and an ongoing source of funding, did not actually increase the amount of dollars available to pay for homeless services. It is essentially level funding for the services for the homeless sector from Measure H to Measure A. The increase goes to funds for LACASA, for affordable housing development and prevention. So there overall is a significant infusion, but in terms of the services that have been covered by Measure H, it is level funding. And so as any individuals...
Level funding in terms of dollars, but in terms of services, it's actually less because of the increase in price.
Exactly. As services increase in cost, the number of services that each dollar can buy decreases.
Is the only increase in cost for services coming from the interim housing bed rate increases, or is it also different programs that cost more?
I mean, across the board, there's inflationary pressure on every service. We see increase.
I mean, is it changes in funding? So for example, I know that increases in permanent supportive housing units are resulting in more dollars going to ICMS, right? Which
Correct.
is that's just because there's more units out there.
Correct.
But are there changes in programming that are actually resulting in increases to cost rather than just increases in bed rates?
So any program like TLS that is paying for rents can be impacted by rising rent rates.
But TLS is like the cheapest of all of our interventions. It's $24,000 a year-ish.
Yeah.
So but TLS is not the source of the cost increase.
No.
It's good that we have it for 2 years. It's really important, Adam.
I mean,
It just is. I'm sorry. It's a really good resource. It's one of the best resources we have.
Interim housing, Janine Trejo, CFO. Interim housing is the largest increase for the portfolio. The
Okay.
rates have not increased in the other programs thus far.
But
So-
is the increase only from the increase in bed rates?
Yes.
Okay.
And to clarify for the one-time funding, that is sunsetting with LASA, the DPSS dollars are one of the largest impacted programs, and the county is providing one-time funds to supplement the
Where are
DPSS
those one-time
dollars.
funds coming from?
The general fund.
And they don't put general fund dollars into this otherwise?
They have put general fund dollars into the interim housing bed rate increase to support that, as well as the HMIS, homeless count, and cash match in a couple of other areas. So they are going to be adding funds to offset for DPSS, the LASA funding, and that's one time, and that is then working with the participants this fiscal year to ramp those slots down, as they will not be funded for the next fiscal year. That is the same strategy that LASA is approaching for the TLS under the HAP 6 funds. The access centers under HAP 6, that is the primary reason of the ramp down. One, there's the reduction of the entitlement. Two, there is no funding projected for the 26-27. And we are looking at the other components that are funded, which would be problem solving, the family access centers, and the interim housing. And those are what we are discussing, and we have discussed with the county and the city if those could be picked up for the next fiscal year. Otherwise, LASA would be ramping those down as we are the TLS slots. And for the ERF funds that Nathaniel was referencing, the grant that did just end June 30th, the county is providing one-time funds for those slots through the end of this fiscal year, which will be ramping down as well.
Okay. We should call all of our funding one-time funds.
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to, you gave a lot of really good information about some of these cliffs and I can go back and look at the tape, but it might be more productive if you guys could put something in writing together. That way we can be proactive about trying to help deal with, and at least not get caught with our pants down. Like let's figure out.
I have a table that
Yeah.
we've put together in partnership with LASA, which can be a good starting place, where I've outlined all of this in preparation for our work over the next year, when we've already been working together on addressing TLS through a motion that went through this committee. but maybe we can schedule time in our next meeting to do a full presentation on that.
Yeah, and just to have it in right, because a lot of these I knew, but some of them I didn't, and so
Yes.
it's good to have it out.
And I can offer this, is during the commission presentations, there was a presentation on the ramp down, which we did then share with city and county partners, so
Okay.
we can share that as well.
Okay. I want to be mindful of the time. It's almost 3:30 and we have some items to get through. So unless there's other pressing questions that need to be addressed, I'd like to move this forward as amended. Ms. Rado, did you have questions?
Yeah, I think I think if that information can be shared throughout the committee, so it's not just stuck in one place, so that we can all understand and do some creative problem solving together, just so that we're not caught flat, I guess like me and Bob. I mean, some of those I knew, some of them I didn't, but also just like we're on this committee, we're trying to be active problem solvers as well, so having that information would be helpful to see when, we're just gonna run out of money. And just overall, the contracting process between the city and the county no other word, sucks. I don't know what else to say, because even like our bridge home funding almost, and getting the services and continuation of services, I think I almost lost like 200 units, and Tim had like almost 400, and it was just about internal communication and coordination that just wasn't happening in time. And even for the LASA contractor, because service providers are coming to our office and talking to me specifically about how the subcontracts are not going through, and some of them are notable providers, and trying to make sure that we can have a better process. And so making sure that kind of like being proactive, knowing these deadlines, getting ahead of it, getting this cash flow loan, like I worry this is not gonna be enough, and that there's gonna only be 3 people at the city that know why we have to do this, and problem solving on it, and when we could have added value when services are on the line.
For the LASA contracting, what I can share is that LASA is working towards drafting and getting all of the contracts prepped. For any of the 3 agreements that are executed with LASA, which is City HAP, City General Fund for Inside Safe, and City Alliance, LASA is already executing those agreements with the service providers. There are 5 contracts that have yet to be executed with LASA, but LASA is actively processing those contracts. We have already started sending them out to the service providers, and they're getting returned, and they are pending the executed agreements from the city. So as we get these other 5 agreements in, we will then be able to start executing the service provider contracts, because we've already done the prep and sending them out.
Okay, got it. It's the Mayfair ESG Rush, and the General Fund and Measure A Local Solutions contracts that are still pending, right?
That is correct.
Okay, great. And then can you explain what a cash flow loan is for me?
For
this item, just so that like it's clear what that actually means in the reimbursement process?
Essentially, LASA is pending the executed agreement from the state and the funds. What happened in fiscal year 24-25 is that agreement did not come in until, I believe it was January 10th of 2025, that LASA received the executed agreement and the funds from the state. So the service providers were carrying the system for over 6 months, waiting for reimbursement, and the service providers are not in the position to do that. So the cash flow is to be able to provide the funds. The county is providing the first quarter, which they have already done, and that allows us to provide the service providers with any sort of advance that they need and process reimbursements for them for the first quarter. The funds that we are pending from the city would be to cover the expenses for the service providers for the second quarter, and then it would be, if we need the cash flow for Q3, it would be the city and the county splitting.
I think in my brain, I'm trying to figure out the mechanics of how the loan comes from LASA to the city and the format in which it comes, if that makes any sense.
I think that might be a question for LAHD, but
Okay.
from the LASA perspective, it would be us submitting the template as we would with any of the other funding sources, identifying the contracts that are executed that require the funds, and then submitting the actual expenses with that template. And then getting reimbursed, and we would then reimburse our service providers for those actual expenses. And then once we receive the funding from the state, just as LASA would return any advances to LAHD that we did not pay out, we would cut LAHD a check and return the funds. We would do the same with the HAP funding as soon as that comes in for any actual expenses incurred and charged to the city. We would then cut a check to LAHD and return those funds.
Okay, that answered the question perfectly. Yeah, because service providers are fronting costs right now in the absence of the fully executed and funds transferred of the current LASA contracts that are pending. Okay, that's helpful.
Okay, great. So I'm comfortable to move this forward as amended. Can you call the roll, Mr. Rano?
Councilmember Rahman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerardo.
Yes.
Councilmember Bloomfield.
Bloomfield, aye.
3 ayes, and this item is approved as amended.
Great. Thank you so much for your feedback and answering our questions. Appreciate it. Let's move on to our next item. Number 4. Okay, let's move on to number 4.
Item number 4 is an Economic and Workforce Development Department report and adopted budget recommendation relative to a multi-year work plan to scale up employment programs to transition individuals out of homelessness.
Great, and we have representatives here from the Economic and Workforce Development Department, and I would just say this is a very dense presentation. So if there's a way to make this presentation, summarize the presentation, I think that would be really helpful. Thank you. But we appreciate the level of detail here. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the time. I'm Carolyn Hull. I'm the General Manager of the Economic and Workforce Development Department.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
And I'm joined with my colleagues, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. I'm Gerardo Rubalcaba, Assistant General Manager for Workforce Development.
Great.
Hi, good afternoon. Donnie Brooks, Chief Grants Administrator, Workforce Development Division.
I'm just going to give some brief overview and turn it over to the team for their detailed presentation.
Great.
EWDD is excited to provide an overview of our key programs to support Angelenos experiencing homelessness. The programs that our team will discuss today are rooted in the department's mission of promoting economic opportunity through the alignment of economic and workforce development. The work represents more than a decade of innovative workforce development programming that has successfully served more than 7,000 individuals, providing access to transitional employment, wraparound services, and vocational training through comprehensive partnerships between the workforce system, social enterprises, the public education system, and others. The most recent data available demonstrates that program participants exiting our system average more than $20 per hour, with some earning as high as $44 per hour. Homelessness is not just about housing. It's about economic stability. Without employable skills, income, and supportive pathways to work, people are at a high risk of returning to homelessness even after securing housing. It is our belief that housing first works best when paired with targeted workforce strategies, such as market-aligned skills training linked to the local job demand, paid transitional work to provide immediate income, wraparound supports including mental health, childcare, transportation, and employer partnerships to ensure job placement. Workforce participation matters because it restores the stability and dignity. Jobs provide income, structure, and purpose. Skills training and employment reduce the returns to homelessness, and maybe more importantly, job access for at-risk populations stops homelessness before it starts. There are also economic and community benefits to increased workforce participation. First, it lowers public costs for healthcare and emergency services. It also reduces incarceration rates. Second, it expands the local labor pool in a tight job market. And in addition, it transitions individuals from public assistance to tax-paying contributors. In conclusion, stable housing is essential, but without stable employment, it's not sustainable. Workforce development must be part of the solution because economic development plus workforce development equals economic mobility, and that is our goal. I'll now turn it over to my colleagues to discuss the programs in greater detail.
Thank you, General Manager. So I'll start off Donnie Brooks again. If we can, Sarah, jump to slide 3, I'll present slides 3 through 9. Apologies, we did not put page numbers on the slides. But starting with slide 3, the department is responsible for preparing the city's workforce development annual plan, which is our guiding document and is in direct alignment with the mayor's adopted 5-year workforce development strategic plan. The annual plan provides the joint vision for the department, the mayor's office, and the workforce development board. It outlines priorities, strategies, and funding for our local workforce development system. Through the annual plan, there are a number of initiatives that support the homeless hiring and other workforce services to homeless populations. So walking through the different programs, the next slide, Sarah, thank you.
Oh, no, we got it.
I got it, okay. Walking through the different programs, the foundational program is the WorkSource Center system. This system is comprised of 14 different centers located across the city. It provides employment services to primarily low-income and high-barrier Angelenos, again, across the city. So through our WorkSource centers, the city serves over 12,000 individuals annually, placing over 10,000 into employment. Additionally, there is a goal for each center to provide targeted outreach to homeless individuals and reentry or justice-involved populations, which we know there's a lot of overlap between the two. In the past program year, WorkSource centers served over 3,200 individuals that were, again, identified as homeless or formerly experiencing homelessness. This is a large number of the total population served by the centers, and if you compare this data across workforce systems in the state or across the country, we don't think there is another system that serves and provides resources to homeless individuals the way that we do in LA. In addition to WorkSource centers, we have several targeted programs that directly support homeless individuals. The primary signature program is our LA RISE program. That stands for Los Angeles Regional Initiative for Social Enterprise. There we go. It's a partnership with the Roberts Enterprise Development Fund, or REDF, the local workforce system, and social enterprises across the city. So through this partnership, the city, through the department, funds social enterprises that focus on providing employment opportunities to homeless individuals. That includes Chrysalis, Downtown Women's Center, Homeboy Industries, as an example. And this past program year, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary since we launched the program. It started with a pilot grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. It was a $5 million, 3-year pilot program, and has since been sustained using city general funds and LA County Measure H funds. So over its 10-year history, LA RISE has served over 7,500 individuals, providing transitional employment, and placed close to 4,000 into competitive, unsubsidized jobs. Now, while that may seem like a low number given the homeless population and how long it does take to achieve employment, when you put it all into context, LA RISE is a highly successful program, and in fact was recognized by the U.S. Department of Labor in January of 2020 as a national best practice model serving individuals with high barriers to employment. We'd also like to note that for the current program year starting July 1st, 2025, we did lose our LA RISE Measure H funds, which was $3 million. However, the department did identify some one-time available funding through other general fund savings that we were able to allocate to support homeless individuals. So again, that's one-time funding. So during this year, we do need to identify new funding to be able to continue to support and maintain services. The next program is the LA Rise Youth Academy. This is an offshoot of the LA Rise program that is focused on the 18 to 24-year-old population. And it's more youth-focused, focused on serving homeless, housing insecure, transition-age youth, and youth that are transitioning out of the foster care system. So like LA Rise, the LA Rise Youth Academy does provide transitional employment and close to 250 hours of employment to individuals. And this program, sorry, give me 1 second. The difference between really this program is the option for going into full-time employment or education. As we know, at that age, many youth are still interested in continuing their education and training or some formal programming. So like all the programs, this does include partnerships with a number of entities, including LASA, the California Department of Rehabilitation, a number of county departments and school districts. The next program we wanted to highlight is the Inside Safe Job Connectors program. This is intended to connect our workforce system with the mayor's Inside Safe Housing initiative. So for this program, what we've done is we've contracted work source centers that have hired navigators that actually go into the Inside Safe Housing sites and connect those individuals to workforce services. So that includes referrals back to the work source centers, as well as other career services and employment services. So we did launch with one site in downtown and have since expanded the program across the city. In slide 8, should be number 8, we did highlight and provide just strategies and respective funding. So you can see that we have, for this current program year, over $27 million available that will serve a minimum of 2,700 individuals. And so these are some of the programs in addition to the LA Rise, the Work Source Centers, Inside Safe, et cetera. And you guys have that in front of you. Additionally, on slide 9, we did highlight some outcome data for LA Rise as it pertains to job placements by sector and wages at placements. So this includes job placements in retail, office admin, maintenance, construction. Happy to report data from program year 2023-24. Our average wage at placement was over $20 an hour, with the highest wage reported at $44 an hour, and again, people working full-time. I also would like to highlight that LA Rise has been a vehicle to recruit for the city's employment opportunities through targeted local hire. And through targeted local hire, again, recruiting from LA Rise, making the referrals back to the work source centers, we placed close to 350 people with the city. So that being said, I would like to turn over to our AGM to talk about strategic planning.
Thank you, Donnie. Again, Gerardo Rubalcaba, Assistant General Manager. So what I want to go over are, and I will try to summarize this, just some of the strategic planning work that we have done over the last 2.5 years to really help improve our workforce development system coming out of the pandemic. And so through our system, we really are trying to address a number of structural issues within the local economy, including, really increased disconnection rates for youth that our region has experienced since the pandemic, with an almost 39% increase of 16 to 24-year-olds that are disconnected from education and employment. High cost of living, right? So, the need to improve wages for our program participants so that they can afford to live in the city. High disconnection rates for older workers, which we'll go into a little bit more detail on some of the, the impacts that people 55 and older have faced or continue to face, as well as low educational attainment rates. So at the key of our 5-year strategic plan really focuses on trying to connect 50,000 Angelenos to not just jobs, but to good jobs, jobs that allow people to survive in the city of LA, jobs that provide benefits as well as career pathways. And the way we're doing this is through comprehensive sector-based strategies that align economic and workforce development in 8 key industry sectors across the region that, again, that provide the best opportunities and for middle-income employment. So if we look at the 5-year plan as a kind of umbrella plan, there's also 2 additional strategic plans that we have worked on that...
Sorry, before you move to the other ones,
Sure.
when you say EWDD Mayor's Office and WDB. Remind me again what WDB stands for.
Sorry about that. It is the Workforce Development Board. They are the actual recipient of the WIOA dollars that, again, fund our workforce development system. And the dollars are administered in partnership between EWDD, the Workforce Development Board, and the City of LA.
And the Workforce Development Board is what kind of entity is it?
It is a nonprofit established to administer, again, WIOA dollars. They are appointed by the mayor.
The people who sit on that board?
Yes, correct. And it is a combination of sector industry leaders, so employers that, again, employ Angelenos in our city. It includes labor partners, so there are a number of labor represented seats as well as a number of nonprofit organizations.
And how many people are on that board?
Currently, the bylaws call for about 39 positions. I don't believe they're all filled. I would say there's probably about 32 individuals that are currently filled.
And the WIOA dollars are coming from?
WIOA dollars are administered by the U.S. Department of Labor, and they flow through the California Employment Development Department to local areas, of which the City of LA is considered a local area.
Great, thank you.
So again, if we consider or we look at the 5-year plan as a kind of umbrella plan, there are 2 additional strategic plans that have been developed to look at to work with 2 specific populations. The first plan, the Horizons 32,000, is focused on, it is a regional cross-sector collaborative that is focused on reducing the number of opportunity youth or disconnected youth across LA County. As I mentioned earlier, since the pandemic, the region experienced a 39% increase in the number of youth that are 16 to 24-year-olds that were disconnected from both education and employment. So through a collaborative of a number, again, led by EWDD in partnership with the LA Opportunity Youth Collaborative, it includes a number of LA County departments, LA City departments, including the Youth Development Department, as well as more than 50 community-based organizations, all focused on reducing the number of disconnected youth. So this does include specific strategies around homelessness. It includes priority of service for homeless individuals, as well as strategies for transitional age youth to ensure that they do not become homeless. At the other end of the age spectrum, and this is something that I think we're proud of, to be the first city in the nation to develop a strategic plan around older workers. And this includes workers that are 55 and older. It is critical for a number of reasons. One, workers over 50, over 50% of adults over 50 experience unwanted job separation. Once they leave their jobs or lose their jobs, they struggle more than any other, demographic group to be reemployed. And when they are, oftentimes they're at, pay decreases, up to 43% of prior wages. Because of this, over 32% of the homeless population in the city is now comprised of people 55 and older. And, data shows that 60% of those individuals cite economic struggles as a reason for homelessness. So we, working with the Department on Aging, as well as a number of other partners, developed a strategic plan to address this issue and really help prevent homelessness among this population. So this is a brand new strategy. We are in the implementation phase. Lastly, I'll just discuss the WorkSource Center system. So as Donnie mentioned, the WorkSource Center system is kind of the primary service center or program delivery system that serves adults in Los Angeles. We are currently reprocuring and did go through a major redesign of this system. One of the major elements of that redesign is, in addition to incorporating some of the sector strategies that were described in the 5-year plan, we are for the first time including very specific requirements, including program design elements specifically for homeless individuals. So all applicants that submit applications for this proposal will be required to not only have a homeless strategy, they will be required to have a number of homeless partners to help support wraparound services for people facing homelessness. So some of our recommendations, again, for moving forward, again, as we've described, we think that current programming and strategic planning efforts provide a strong base from which we can expand homeless services. All of the homeless plans that we've described to have specific strategies for serving the homeless populations. And so again, our implementation strategies over the next year will include, or our strategies will include implementation of some of these strategies. Two, we think that, again, some of our strategic planning efforts and programs do provide us an opportunity to expand programs moving forward. And so we do identify some goals in terms of funding. One of the primary ones is, again, critical for us, is identifying a replacement for the $3 million in LA County Measure H funding that we lost. Just for context, that will impact about 400 individuals. So 400 individuals will not get services in the new program year without a replacement.
And how did that funding, it just was cut from the budget?
Yes, so under Measure A, homelessness was not prioritized, and the amount of funding allocated for workforce development was reduced. So the city did not receive an allocation in the new year. We do think there's opportunities for funding under other programs, like I think was described earlier, the HAP funding, which does include specific funding streams for youth. There is an opportunity, about 25% of our LA Rise Youth Academy are folks that are coming from shelters. And we do think that we can support, and we do think that providing housing subsidies to those individuals will help improve employment outcomes. And then we think that the work that we're doing under our system strategically positions our system to compete for a lot of the federal funding that is coming down. While we know that there's been changes in priorities with federal funding, we are hearing about, the federal government prioritizing apprenticeship programs as well as other work-based learning programs that I think our system is well suited to set up for. So our goals are to really be aggressive in going out after youth funding and again, utilizing those programs. And new opportunities as well as the Advantage LA program. Again, this is new programming where we think, because of the focus on older workers, we do think that we could, through both foundations and through state and federal funding opportunities, again, bring in additional resources.
Thank you.
And lastly, we do plan to continue implementation of, again, our strategic plans as well as some of, WorkSource Center redesign to continue to expand and improve services to homeless individuals. So as Carolyn mentioned in her opening remarks, again, we believe that workforce and economic development play a critical role in addressing the city's homeless crisis. Our workforce system will continue to prioritize programs and identify new funding opportunities. And again, we look forward to working with this committee to help strengthen those programs. And with that, I think we can open it up for any questions or comments.
Great, thank you very much for that detailed presentation. And I believe this came out of a budget discussion 2 years ago. Mr. Blumenfield, you might have to give us some insight onto what that was. But for me, I think the biggest question is how can we streamline our programs and make sure that we're doing the most with less, which is what's going to be happening across the board. So to that end, I wanted to ask, how often are you speaking to programs that are explicitly serving the homeless? Like what is the pathway to you having discussions with LASA leadership or others about programming? Or with the CAO, for example, who programs a lot of our dollars right now?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, we have not had those direct discussions with the
Okay.
CAO's office. Again, because of our work in identifying special funds, our focus has really been about, identifying external funding sources.
Got it.
So working through the county, through the state, and federal government.
And are you co-located with the family source centers, or these are in separate locations?
They are in separate locations. Our work source centers are co-located with a number of social enterprises, as well as community colleges and adult schools. So we do have a lot of co-location agreements. Most of our work source centers do have comprehensive partnership agreements with, again, I've mentioned a number of county departments and other strategic partners.
And you mentioned that your programs are, you said a couple of you said that they're very successful. What metrics are you using for measuring success of the programs?
Well, the LA Rise program has been nationally recognized, but also we actually do, I believe it's CSUN that does an analysis each year of the program, and we can come back and give you and provide this committee with their latest report on the metrics.
So you have an evaluation that's done annually by CSUN about the programming?
That is correct, except this year we're going back out, I believe, and CSUN will not be the evaluator. We're bringing on a new evaluator.
Okay, I think it would be useful to get access to those evaluation reports, so we'll reach out to you afterwards. Other questions, members? Go ahead, Mr. Bloomfield.
Great, thanks. And thank you for this report. It's great to see, and just to underscore that, getting people employed and providing those services is a critical part of ending homelessness. You've got to, get people sustainable, not just feed and clothe them and get them stabilized, but actually get that next step. One thing I didn't see was and I wanted to ask you about it, the connection to the interim sites, because I would love to see more of a direct on-site services at our homeless interim sites, because that's where the rubber hits the road for a lot of homeless folks. Have you done that kind of outreach? Is that in the cards for the future? How can we, if not, how do we transition some of these programs into programs that aren't just come through our door, but are outreach to those interim sites?
Yeah, so a good example is the job connector. So we are hiring navigators with a lot of the funding that they go into interim housing sites to provide entry basic level workforce development services, including job search assistance, resume prep, and it helps to market the job centers throughout the city and trying to facilitate those referrals. So through that natural alignment and partnership, we're able to help direct more individuals to our centers to take advantage of, all the partnerships we have with high growth sectors and training, and again, kind of underscoring LA Rise, the real value is that transitional job, so that people are getting employment when they're enrolled. And as they graduate, we look to place them permanently or look for additional training to make them more competitive. But to answer your question, Council Member, we are with funds. There's some additional funding, I think, outlined on Table 8, where we are looking to hire more navigators that, again, boots on the ground, that will go into interim housing sites to help provide the workforce development services, and again, feeding them to the job centers and youth centers across the city.
And you're saying, so some of that's already happening at the interim sites? But what's the penetration like?
Well, we did start off as a pilot program focused in downtown LA. In the new program year, we're now expanding that citywide. So we're hiring additional, and I think it will be up to 12 workforce navigators that will go into the housing sites across the city.
And we'll sort of visit them across. You don't have I would love to see, I know it's pie in the sky, but a navigator at each of these sites that's there full time, or spending a considerable amount of time there. I don't know how far, I'm trying to gauge how far we are.
Yeah, again, based on the funding that we've provided, and we've done this through WIOA dollars, we have been able to, again, we will hire a total of 12 navigators in this current program year. And we can report back onto in terms of the number of housing locations that could penetrate. That's something I think we could work with our contractors and get a better estimate for you.
Yeah, at least maybe one day a week, that would be great.
It'd be great. We have great to have that information, and I'd certainly love to see that beefed up. And then in terms of the the work. I mean, even things like a peer support certification, I mean, those are jobs that can go $25, $35 an hour, of which a lot of the folks in these interim sites would probably have a unique qualification for. So there's just a lot of possibilities, and appreciate you bringing this report forward, and thank you, Chair, for bringing this item forward.
Thank you, yeah, and we look forward to getting the evaluation reports and to making sure that I requested this to be referred to our committee because I want to bring about more integration of some of these programs, including co-location, but beyond co-location, this kind of, actual programmatic integration where we're able to make sure that funding that we're doing for LA Rise is helping, for example, our time-limited subsidy awardees. So we're going through this big process where we have people who have 2-year-long time-limited subsidy rental vouchers who need support transitioning to their own income streams. One way is through benefits management. You can, if people are eligible for disability or other things, making sure that they're getting everything that they're eligible for is one pathway. So we're trying to make sure that happens with every single one of our awardees. But the second is through work opportunities. And we want to be able to make sure that what we're investing in work opportunities is going directly towards ensuring that people who are receiving time-limited subsidy vouchers are not returning to the streets, that they're actually increasing their ability to earn and make sure that they can pay their rent. So I'm very interested in making sure that this happens. So I'd like to make sure that we have the reports, the evaluation reports. We want to be connected to the individuals who are doing the programming and kind of organizing the navigators. We want to make sure that they're talking to the people who are overseeing our homelessness response programs and that those programs are working together. Ms. Hirado, did you have additional questions?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, doubling down on what my colleagues are saying. I mean, just tomorrow, I've already been there, it's already open. I don't know if you've all been to the Skid Row Care Campus down in Skid Row off Crocker, but once a week they have a worker navigator who helps them apply for jobs, get certifications, find their licenses, and they do it on site because, as you know, for folks of this demographic, having an additional place to have to travel to that's different from their normal environment is a little difficult, especially depending on where they are at in their day or the week and their mindset. And so making sure that it is a one-stop shop. And so I wanted to hear more about the Inside Safe Job Connectors. It looks like in 25-26, the enrollment goal is 200 and it's almost like $800,000. I wanted to see what the performance rate for that was for the previous year, and considering a lot of folks, move on to some of our hotels or motels that we have, or also even at the Mayfair, if there's any work that has been done there with this.
As we mentioned, last year was our initial year, so it was a pilot program. So that the performance that we provided was for the first complete year.
Yeah, and how did it? So did you serve 200 people, or?
Yeah, and Donnie, do you have?
Yeah, we could report back. I don't have the detail in front of me, but
Okay.
We do have an Inside Safe Job Connector scorecard evaluating, again, in terms of the boots on the ground, what services are being provided, that peer-to-peer, basic workforce development support, and then those referrals back to the WorkSource Center. So not everyone is enrolled, but we do want individuals to know there's other services available. So that's something we could definitely report back.
And in general, we're happy to come back on a regular basis and provide regular reports on these topics.
Yeah, and I love your department and, on EDJ and this, so it's the intersection which makes it also interesting. And so digging a little bit deeper about what groups you're connecting with, and so I think we heard SPY was here earlier, and so who's on this pre-identified community-based organizations list, and how can people get on it so that it'll be inclusive of maybe folks that are able to meet the needs with a reasonable price as well,
And so our primary partnerships around LA Rise are with social enterprises. So this includes organizations like Chrysalis, Homeboy Industries, CRCD Industries, and others. And these are organizations that typically have a dual bottom line. So they have an income generating enterprise that allows them to hire and provide services to targeted populations.
Goodwill Enterprises is a great example of that.
Which one?
Goodwill.
Goodwill
Industries.
Goodwill,
Downtown Women's Center.
Downtown Women's Center, exactly.
I used to help form social enterprises. So,
So I believe we partner with about 12
Sometimes
social
Workers Center,
enterprises
Workers
across
Center.
the city. Again, depending on funding, we're always interested in expanding that, the number of social enterprises that we work with. One of the key elements of that, and what makes LA Rise unique is that because of their income or their revenue, social enterprises are providing a significant amount of leverage. So the amount that we invest in terms of the per participant cost is typically more than doubled by our social enterprises. Because again, they're providing anywhere between 200 and 600 hours of paid work experience. So those are paid through their revenue generating mechanisms.
so to put a fine point, is SPY on that list or they're not because they're not a social enterprise?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the name of
Safe Place for Youth? They're not,
They
because
are
they're
not.
not
No.
they're C3 organization on the west side.
Yes.
Okay, and then is there any conversations, I guess when we think about funding sources and also targeting to youth, I know that the Mayor's Fund has also been, getting grants and funding sources for that targeted population. Is there any conversations about working with the Mayor's Fund to make this program actualized? Or to actualize this program?
We
For funding?
we have not coordinated with the Mayor's Fund. We do work with a number of foundations. So we have been working with like Hilton Foundation, Irvine Foundation, and others to help support some of the programming. Yeah, but we have not directly worked with the Mayor's Fund.
Okay, and then my other question is there are you working with labor unions at all?
Yes, we have very strong partnerships with labor unions. So we do work with the building trades very closely. One of our key partners is the Miguel Contreras Foundation, which is a program partner of the LA County Fed. So they have played a really pivotal role in helping connect our entire workforce system to the 300 plus members of the LA County Fed, so that we're better aligning across all of our different programmings with labor. So that is one of the areas that I'm actually very proud of the work that we've done over the last couple of years and just being able to expand partnerships with labor.
Yeah, some of our folks that we met in Skid Row, I mean, our office has a lived experience as a kind of like, that counts as job experience. And so we have a couple folks in our office that are current or former Skid Row residents and formerly unhoused. And so like investments in programs like these, especially for the kind of work that we're doing, is super important. And I know a couple folks who got into like a trade program, living in their car or were on the street in Skid Row and now live down there like at the Roslyn. So I think I'm glad to hear that. And so I think this is a promising program. I'm worried about the funding sources, and I already know your department is being stretched thin as it is, and it's probably on someone else to add another line in their job description to encompass this entire portfolio of work and demands, of which I ask a lot of questions about. And so I also get that, which is why I try to ask about funding and where it's actually happening. And so I'm cognizant of that, and also thinking about, how a possible consolidation may affect this work as well. And so wanting to know a little bit more about that.
That's a really great question. We feel it's really important that the city has a dedicated economic development department that focuses on...
Ms. Hull, if you could just move, if you actually are above the microphone.
Okay, can you hear me
That's
better now?
Yes, thank you, go ahead.
I think our feeling is that economic development and workforce development are critical partnerships, because we have to work with both the employers and those that are seeking employment. And I think our department has been focused on that actual partnership. A really great example of that is a program that didn't necessarily hit this population, but at one point we worked really close. We had a program where we work really closely with community college students, and we paired them with small businesses, knowing that the small businesses really could not figure out how to get their marketing and the community college students got job opportunities. It's really important as a department, that we look at all those partnerships with the employers. In order for our economy to grow, we have to also understand what it takes for an employer to thrive in this economy. So that is part of our mission. We'll continue to work on that.
Okay.
And
Well,
just to add to that, I'm sorry if I can, and as I think mentioned earlier, as the federal government is continuing to disinvest in social services, one area we are seeing an investment in is in work-based learning, economic development, workforce development, and really skills-based learning programs. So we think our department is well suited to be able to compete for those dollars and continue to bring, different federal resources. We don't know what that looks like under the consolidation, right? So it will impact our current infrastructure. And again, it is difficult for us to say how that would impact our competitiveness for those types of dollars that are going to become available through this administration.
Okay, so like the braiding of funding because of the independent department itself, and then also if it were to consolidate, it would impact the ability to braid funding creatively, and then also the layer of oversight, if there is going to be an additional layer, and then the third one being maybe delay in the performance of this program because of transition is what I'm hearing. So,
and the third piece would be, the fourth piece would be around just leadership. So 2 of the 3 people on this table, will be, let go through this consolidation.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good, for bringing up those very important points. Unless there's other questions, we're going to thank you all for your presentation and for your work. Make sure that we follow up with you for the additional reports and add those to the council file as possible, and ensure that we are reaching back out to you as we're doing more planning around the transition of people from interim housing into job opportunities, as well as time-limited subsidies into job opportunities. So we'll continue to work on that. So with that, is there anything to do on this item?
So currently, Madam Chair, if you'd like to move this item forward, you can concur with the Economic, Community Development, and Jobs Committee to note and file these items.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So we would vote to note and file these items.
Okay. Yeah, so we'd like to vote to note and file the item.
Did you want to add any additional recommendations? I just wanted to confirm.
I don't think so. We're just going to be collecting additional information.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilmember Rahman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jurado.
Yes.
Councilmember Bloomfield.
Bloomfield, aye.
This item is approved.
Great, thank you. We have 4 items left, 2, 3, 7, and 9. I wanted to ask if other members had questions about item 9. If not, okay, so let's vote on, if you could read item 9 into the record and we'll take a vote on it.
Item number 9 is a motion Rodriguez-Blumenfield relative to a transfer of funds from the Foreclosure Relocation Program Fund to the Tenant Relocation Assistance Program Fund to pay the relocation benefits and to prevent the tenants previously occupying the property located at 8530 West Latuna Canyon Road in Council District 7 from becoming homelessness due to the unsafe and uninhabitable conditions at the property.
Okay, I'm going to recommend that we approve this motion and move it forward.
Councilmember Rahman.
Yes.
Councilmember Jurado.
Yes.
Councilmember Bloomfield.
Bloomfield, aye.
3 ayes, and this item is approved.
Great. For item 2, are there questions from members of this committee? That's the HE Homelessness Emergency Declaration 9th Quarterly Report.
I guess I do have a quick question on that.
You had a question?
I know time's late, I won't belabor it.
Say that again?
I said I know the time's late, but I have a quick question.
Okay, I want to just make sure we hear the ECRC item, which is item 3. So if we could do items 2 and 7 quickly after the ECRC, is that fine for members?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do item 3 first then.
Item number 3 is a City Administrative Officer report relative to the County of Los Angeles Emergency Centralized Response Center.
Great. Welcome, CAO staff. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. I'll try to keep it brief. My name is Ben Buchanan with the Office of the CAO. In front of you today is the Emergency Centralized Response Center, better known as the ECRC report for your consideration. The ECRC's goal is to function as the central communication and coordination point to receive and prioritize service requests related to homelessness. I do want to be clear, this is not a new department. This started out of the county CEO's HI, Homeless Initiative, and it will be overseen by the new LA County Department on Homelessness. It is a coordination center, and currently the City of Los Angeles has had regular representation at the ECRC since it became operational in December of 2024. The Office of the CAO's regional outreach coordinators support the coordination of homelessness at the ECRC. We are there on site 2 days a week, and our main role is to function as a coordination service in case if county departments are needed for assistance. Okay?
So sorry, say that again. What is your role there?
So what we do is if a concern comes up where a city resource may be needed, such as LAPD or sanitation, our staff will provide that coordination at the ECRC.
So you're there to coordinate city services, not for city to get access to county services?
Yes, at this time, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And if we do have a representative from the county who has agreed to answer questions if committee members have any.
Please continue with your report.
This is more for informational purposes. It is a note and file, and that does conclude my presentation.
So what are the kinds of requests that you've received from county departments?
The type of requests?
Like what are our staff that are sitting there 2 days a week, what kind of requests are you getting when you're sitting there?
Well, our requests are really to, to bridge the coordination. If a city council staff has a request, or to prioritize like MDT services, that kind of thing. If a city department is needed to address a concern, that's what our ROCs will provide there, with our regional outreach coordinator.
Okay. And so how frequently are your services being called upon in the ECRC?
Okay. I have Sophia Peralta.
Hi, Sophia. Welcome.
Thank you, Sophia. She oversees the ROCs, and I think she could provide greater detail than I can. Thank you.
Can you turn on Sophia's microphone, please? Thank you so much.
Yes.
I
Supriya
think your
Peralta with
microphone's
the CEO. So to answer a couple questions, the ROCs are there usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And initially when the ECRC was building out, we were there mainly to observe and build out and work with our county partners. And so as it continues to build out, we coordinate in terms of like when we need a referral, when we're helping a CD trying to get some resources for like city beds or any additional
Sorry,
ones.
Sophia, if you don't mind moving the microphone closer to you and maybe pushing it down a little bit, thank you.
Yeah. So when the council districts that we work with are in need of some resources, then of course we'll meet with our county partners that are in the ECRC to request assistance with that. It's also really bridging the coordination within the council district and our county partners. Prior to the MDT coordination meetings that started in April, there was really a lack of communication or just even knowledge of who your MDT representative was, also with the communication with the city. So we're kind of bridging that, and that has gradually improved over the last couple of months because we have these weekly, bi-weekly meetings now. So there is more communication, and really as the team still sits there, we're really in the learning phase, a lot of it. We're still working with trying to make sure that we understand what county resources that we can better utilize. As everybody knows, the resources are still the same, they didn't change. So it's just trying to get more access to like maybe a faster referral to DPSS or DMH, or inquiring as to where is this DMH referral in here and so forth.
Where is this what?
Like a DMH referral, so we might want to know what's the status of this referral.
Oh, referral, okay. Got it. And maybe this is a question for Ms. Perkins, welcome. What are the expected, like what improvements should we see, and how are those improvements being measured in terms of responsiveness?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember. Hi, I'm Amy Perkins. I work for Supervisor Lindsay Horvath in the 3rd District of LA County. So the goal of the ECRC at its most basic is to provide immediate access to the resources that are available at the county. So we've heard from the council members for many years that it's difficult for you to connect a client to DMH, to DPSS, to a SAPC bed, a substance use bed. So the goal of the ECRC is to bring those departments all in-house, and they do sit there. So we have full-time staff from all the critical departments. So when an outreach worker calls and says, I'm here with the person, are they already enrolled in DMH? I think they need DMH. Or I know they're enrolled in DMH, they need a bed. Then the DMH is sitting there, and most critically, with their system of care, their database is in front of them. And you know, one of the big issues now, excuse me, sorry, is the databases aren't integrated. So if someone's saying I need a DMH bed, or I have a DMH referral, or my GR benefits with DPSS haven't been, I think they've lapsed. All of those entities are sitting there and can provide real-time assistance to the person or the outreach team or whomever it is. So they also get the full, from LASA, DMH, and DHS, formerly DHS, Housing for Health beds, they get the full number of beds that are available each day. So the goal, council member, is immediate access to resources that previously people had to like walk through hoops or figure out how to navigate, fill out a form. This can happen in real time now. Obviously, the biggest and most obvious thing is to coordinate multi-jurisdictional operations, which has been, that's kind of the low-hanging fruit, because it's easy for them. They can contact, they can reach out to state DOT and obviously reach out to the city. We would love to have the city in-house more. We would love to know more about the cleanups that you're doing. So we can know that if there's an outreach worker there, we can make sure that we have resources available if they are available. We'd love to be more coordinated with Inside Safe. We recently invited the mayor's office to come and tour. We've had 11 of the council offices come so far. We'd like to personally invite all the council members. The supervisor would love to meet you there. So you can actually see this, because in some ways I think it sounds too good to be true, but we've seen it in action and I think it's better.
Yeah, well, I know we've tried to get access to some individuals through the ECRC, and yes, it doesn't sound too good to be true. It seems great and a welcome addition to what I think has been a complicated, multi-departmental response. I will say we have not necessarily seen that we're getting more access to DMH or other departments as a result of this effort yet, but I think that is why, I've asked this at ECRC, at ECRA, I've asked this in multiple forums, but it's like, what are the metrics we're using to evaluate progress? Like, it is there, it's wonderful, I'm glad that it's there, I'm glad that there's an interjurisdictional effort, but I think it is important to make sure that we're marking progress.
Yeah.
And what are the changes that we expect to see as a result of this? We're not getting access to DMH beds in our district more quickly now than we were 4 months ago. And I don't expect the ECRC to be a miracle worker or any of those things. That's not my expectation. But I do think it's important, and especially given, I'm assuming because it's HI staff that's primarily who are driving it, it is being done through Measure A funds, which is our collective dollars. And so, I really want to see measurable progress. And so my question is really to Sophia and to Bindu and to you, like, what is it, we're asking staff to now go and invest time there. what are the measurable outcomes that we're going to see as a result of this?
I think part of the problem is getting the baseline. So I don't know that we have a number that says previously an outreach worker seeking a DMH bed, it took them X number of days. So that's what we need to do a better job at is so we can have a baseline, because we're going to have the metrics on how long those things are happening now, but to have the comparison so we can evidence the improvement, that's the kind of data that we need to collect.
So is that part of the plan for the
Oh,
ECRC?
1,000%. I mean, they're still in scale up. You know, they just took over LA Hop from LASA on 8/1. There were 6,000.
So LA Hop doesn't exist anymore?
No, it still exists. It's just running through the ECRC since they oversee all of the outreach teams so they can do their response. And when LA Hop came to the ECRC, it had 6,000 open requests. And so they're trying to kind of go through and clean those out. And so there can be a faster response as the new one comes in. They're also changing the response that they make to referrers to do an update on what happened when they responded to the LA Hop call.
Got it. Okay, other questions?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Bloomfield.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, it does sound amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing this scale and really curious sort of how we as a city can request the operational support from the county and how that's going to work. And great seeing coordination. Quantifiably, is there like how many operations have actually happened now in the city proper from this? Is there a number on that?
Oh yeah, they're tracking everything that they do, so I could get those numbers to you. Yeah, they're just starting to put together more public dashboards to evidence what the work that's happening. I don't know if y'all have been tracking it in another way.
I guess my question in terms of tracking operations that included the ECRC coordination?
Well, I'm trying to get a sense of what the city is getting out of this. Is it, you know, I assume that these calls are coming from all over the county, right, into it, and how many are in the city? How do we parse out, you know, we have city services, and now we have services that can go directly through here. Should we be funneling all of our city services through here? And, you know, I'm trying to get a sense of scale of where we are at this moment. I know it's just starting, but like how many operations, you know, have come through that are specifically in the city versus the rest of the county so far?
So I think in terms of operations, the coordination for using the ECRC and for, let's use example, a Care Plus, right? It could totally be used jointly. We just haven't really been doing that yet. As Amy mentioned, it's being scaled up. Could it happen in the future? Yeah, of course, because.
What do you mean? Go take a step back and say that again.
So I'll use a Care Plus resource that the city has.
Actually, could we not talk about Care Plus and talk instead about a housing effort? Like, I think those are really the ones that are the more.
Well, yeah, a county service is really what we're looking at.
Like where we're looking for county services. Because Care Pluses we have outreach staff that are assigned to them that we pay for, right? I'm really curious about like housing operations or places where we're trying to address an encampment, like an encampment resolution operation.
Any encampment resolution operation that you're running in the city, we would welcome to come to the ECRC. We actually don't always hear.
But would we be able to would we be able to access beds through that, I guess is the question.
Absolutely. The beds that are available for every operation that's done. Yes.
I will say my district and our staff has been able to work with you all through this ECRC, and that may be in part of like past county relationships that we've had. So if your staff wants to reach out to ours, but I do want to, I mean, I don't want to jump the line, but I do want to hear about the interaction with Care and Care Plus, because I know that there is an interaction with that organization, and where does it go from the call to the department, to the CAO staffer, to the department, and how does that affect the queue that the council member has maybe in their own district, and what the department's priorities are, and where does it stack up in the priorities? Because as far as I know about these Care and Care Pluses, sometimes we request things, they don't go through, and I think I am getting the go around as to who's in the queue and who gets to decide, and so wondering how the ECRC plays into kind of the queue as well. But that's my question.
Yeah, we don't have a role in the queue. You would tell us when you wanted to do it, and then we
That's
would.
that's from our city's side, because you said that you sit there, and then if you needed to call LASA, so from that call, where does it go?
I'll clarify that. No, so the reason I use Care Plus is because when there is a joint operation in any encampment resolution effort, you typically do have LASA right there, right, to provide that resource. So
Move it closer, please.
Yes, Mike, yeah, we,
the point that I was getting at is that if we do joint efforts within the ECRC, that's probably a resource that we're going to need and bring into them while they're also providing the interim housing beds. So that's the coordination that we will likely see in the future with the ECRC staff and our staff.
So how is it, help me walk through it. So if somebody calls and into this, and they're a homeless person in Reseda or anywhere in the city that needs help, and now you have to decide what resource to send there. You have county resources, and then you have city resources. You could call Circle, you could call, I mean, there's any number of things. So how is that, what does that decision tree look like?
So, I don't know if you want to speak. Go ahead. If it's a city-run operation, you would essentially.
Not a city-run operation. It is a phone call from a random person.
Okay, so this is not where, so the ECRC right now is set up to be responsive to cities, COGS, so all of the council offices. It's not just a number that is available to the general public at this time. So that's not how it works.
But you've taken over the IHOP stuff.
Right, so IHOP comes in through an online request, and then they're responding to it by deploying the multidisciplinary teams to go answer that. So that just happens as it's always happened through the outreach coordination at LASA. That coordination now happens at the ECRC. So they respond to the IHOP. If when they get there, they find that there's a large encampment that may require being addressed, then certainly they would reach out to city, and then they would look at the existing MDTs that were there. They're trying not to create new work. So they're assessing what's been happening at this encampment. This encampment's been elevated by, we just did one in CD6. We've done many in CD11. So there's an issue there. And maybe they'll do a by name list, and we can look and see, is this person currently enrolled in DMH? What are the teams that we should be deploying? And so that's the kind of coordination that happens. It's not so much duplicative as what needs to happen there and when can we bring it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's just, I guess there's such a hodgepodge of city and county services. And obviously, if you're in unincorporated county, you know it's going to be county. If you're in Culver City or LA, you have choices. And how are you making those choices? Am I going to send county services or city services, and what's appropriate?
So we're sending the existing outreach that's there is always the lead because they already know the people there. So we're not looking to send new teams and start new relationships. So county services are the service, I mean, if you're talking about if you want mental health beds and other physical health services and those sorts of things, we do need the county to show up. We need the departments to show up. When it's in the city, and if there's something that the city's going to provide around sanitation or other city-specific funded beds, which are still accessible by the ECRC, but then that's where the partnership would happen. But I don't think it's so much an either or. It's typically the MDT has done an assessment, and then we're asking them, what do you need? And they're helping coordinate that so they can help them access whatever they might need. There's experts that sit in the ECRC, many of whom have worked at the agencies that you know well, and they're there and they're sort of problem solving for the people that are there and the needs that they have. And then they deploy those needs. That's from the ECRC's perspective.
Yeah, I guess I need to get more hands-on with it because to me there's a lot. It's not so clear cut. There's a lot of discretion in terms of whether something gets handled by a city or a county, and sometimes we're doing a lot of the county's role in different places, and I think it's great if the county could actually do some of the things that I think the county should be doing and city should be doing, that we can have clearly defined lanes.
Yeah.
But the rubber will sort of hit the road with the ERC to figure that out.
That's right.
And I just want to make sure that we're part of that discussion, and how that discussion, how that is being meted out is not clear to me.
How it's being meted out, the actual implementation of the vision, or your ability to inform what it looks like? Because both we welcome you. I mean, we have had your staff there. We know
Yeah.
your staff very well. And I think they're starting to use the ECRC. So we want the city to come. We want you to participate. We have desks available for CAO staff 5 days a week. There's no limitation for what this coordination can look like. That's our goal, is this becomes the hub for the unsheltered interaction and street-based engagement happening in this region. And 1,000%, that's what we're hoping for. And we look for an opportunity to hear from you to co-design what that would look like for the city.
Great. No, that's great. And a lot of it is, again, it's accessing those county services.
That's right.
That, that have been difficult from our perspective to access. So,
1,000%, yes.
And I guess I would just underscore again, though, that like county services are hard to get access to, really hard, especially mental health services, for example, are really hard to get access to, but also county beds are very, very hard to get access to, even through the existing ECRC process. And so I think in order for interventions to feel like they're productive, like I think it is useful and important to be able to measure what is the progress that we're making through doing this. I had an additional question, which is all outreach coordination now happening through ECRC? Everything that LASA was doing? Oh, you guys are not doing outreach
The outreach
coordination?
coordinators have come to ECRC, yes.
So nothing is happening at LASA anymore?
For outreach coordination, no.
And when did this change happen?
August 1st.
Okay. And so if we want to be involved in outreach coordination, that's what the ROCs are there for?
Yes.
Okay. To be honest with you, not really, I'm not quite following exactly how this changes, how teams are sent out or, again, how we're following up on them, but I think it would be useful to maybe get a better sense through a field visit or.
Oh, absolutely. And the council districts still, we don't deploy the MDTs that are specific to your offices, so that hasn't changed. Those teams are still dedicated to your council offices.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Are there other questions from members?
Yeah.
Ms. Harada, go ahead.
Thank you. I just had one more question about the ECRC working group assignments, and I don't know if that's still in place, but I noticed on attachment 2 of page 1 out of 4, in terms of the different groups, dispatch, outreach and coordination, access to interim housing and services, crisis management, the city has appointed nobody, and maybe that's in part why we don't have accurate or up-to-date information. We've only appointed someone to the working group regarding the implementation regarding data and then communications. And the person identified there is Deputy Mayor Agonifer. And so from the city, why didn't we appoint anybody to these working groups so that we can make implementation better to our, some of this is like I learned just because things are happening in our district, but that shouldn't be the surprise of our members on this committee, especially ones that are so invested. And so I'm just wondering who is appointing the people to this working group, and if the working group is ongoing, how can we get involved? Like, who's the ultimate decider there?
What I will say first is the working groups that was part of the launch.
Oh, okay.
So, but yes, but in terms of how the city decided who they would send.
Yeah, so this was a city family question, sorry.
I was a part of
Can you move the microphone closer, please?
I was part of the dispatch and outreach coordination, and then you had a few folks from the mayor's office that participated in the other working groups.
So who decided that, though? I don't know. From the city side?
In the past, de facto decisions about homelessness coordination or homelessness overall have fallen to the CAO because historically there's been the comprehensive homelessness strategy came out of their office. They were and are the only people who are staffed for working on homelessness, really, across the entire city. So de facto, it tends to be the CAO that makes decisions or that staffs these committees, and that's just, that may change now with the Bureau and staffing up on the Bureau, but it traditionally, over the past few years, has fallen to the CAO.
I thank you for that.
Yeah.
I think it's a missed opportunity considering like each of our offices have staffers devoted to homelessness outreach and could be involved in this outreach coordination in the working group or even access to interim housing and services because some of us also have housing deputies. And also when it comes to crisis management, it's just really curious to me that no representative from LAFD, LAPD, or any of these emergency operations centers are also involved. Even sanitation is not even involved. And so I just think that if this working group continues, that getting the involvement of some of the folks that are closest to some of these and to our teams, because I think we shouldn't be surprised. And we, I think, have a genuine desire to work collaboratively to get to the better outcome, to see if this is a successful and actionable program that could benefit county and city residents alike. So I hope that we can figure out a way that that can happen.
So we absolutely can. The county, through the meetings that we've had with the county, they've been very open to city involvement. So because this is a new thing, it's still being developed, and they are, whatever level we want to be involved in, the county is open to that. So
Okay, that's helpful. I'll have my team talk to yours, and hopefully we can figure out a way we can get some council, some, insight as well. Thank you.
Great. That's why we had the presentation, so we can do more of that. So thank you all so much. And if there's no other questions, thank you, Ms. Perkins, for being here. Really helpful to have your voice here. And thank you to CAO staff for moving this forward. Is there any action that we need to take on that?
We could vote to note and file this item.
Okay, great. Yes, please call the roll.
Councilmember Rahman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerardo.
Yes.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
3 ayes, and this item is noted and filed.
Okay, the last two items, if we could hear item 7.
Item number 7 is a Prop HHH Administrative Oversight Committee report relative to the third quarterly report for Prop HHH fiscal year 2024-25.
Great, welcome. And I believe we have a question about this item, so.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Selby. I'm the Director of Housing for Development and Finance from the Los Angeles Housing Department.
Do you want to just summarize what this item is, and then we can move to the question?
Our division manages most of the HHH investment in permanent supportive and affordable housing. As of this report before you, which is through March 31st, 2025, 90 projects have been placed in operation. That totals 5,597 units. We have another 42 projects in construction, 22 of which are more than 50% complete, totaling 3,087 units. As of today, we have 4 HHH projects that have yet to close on their financing. 2 of those projects have received or have completed their capital stack and are working toward closing, and 2 are in the tax credit application process. And I welcome questions.
Thank you. We tried to print out the attachment and then it came out really, really small. So I just had a question. It looks like the Mayfair is the largest funded project in the facilities. And it was listed as currently awaiting construction to start. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Or it may just be outdated, but that's just.
Good afternoon, Veronica Salumbiras from the Office of the CAO. The Mayfair Hotel, it's an acquisition cost, so Prop HHH paid $18 million of the $83 million total acquisition cost. So that purchase is complete.
Oh, okay, just making sure. Okay, and we can talk offline about the rest. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. Great. Is there anything, any action we need to take on this item?
This would be a note and file as well, Madam Chair.
Okay, great, so.
Councilmember Rahman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerardo.
Yes.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Aye.
3 ayes, and this item is noted and filed.
Okay, let's move on to the last item, item 2.
Item number 2 is a City Administrative Officer report relative to the Homelessness Emergency Declaration 9th Quarterly Report, May through June 2025.
Welcome, Kendra. And I believe, Councilmember Blumenfield, you had a question about this?
Yeah. In the report, there's a large decrease in beds, 986 bed decrease, and I just wanted to understand it. There's 70 are for the 2 safe parking lots, and so that at any given time, 916 units are offline. And does that mean they're offline permanently? And what it says, LASA's report that the interim housing bed inventory has decreased by 986 from 18,000 to 70,000 and was previously reported in April 2025. And I just didn't understand that. I mean, it said that some are not in use or permanently offline, such as those set aside for administrative use. But I tried to contemplate how many could possibly be, administrative use, maybe, 2 out of 100 or something. It just the numbers didn't add up, so I wanted to understand that better.
Sure. Hi, Brian Brown, Associate Director of Reporting and Analytics at LASA. We prepared this data for them, and that reaches you all. Yeah, and apologies for the confusion on that. There's a number of changes that occurred. I'll try and keep this as simple as possible. But basically, what we're seeing is we moved from historically this report went off a point in time like
Say that again, the move from what?
We moved this report. We used to use the HIC, the housing inventory count, as the basis, and that's why we have the row for HIC adult. And that's because
Brian, you're going to have to move the microphone a little closer to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and yeah.
Good. Thank you. Sorry about that. Used to be based off basically homeless count data. We didn't have reliable, up-to-the-date data on how many beds are online in any given program, and so we basically were using the HIC as the basis. As I believe has been discussed previously, we have the inventory module that came online in HMIS. In January, it's been rolling up. It allows for more timely reporting on data of beds if they're offline, online, so that's where we kind of refer to that. And only for this report do we make the full transition to now the inventory module is the basis, and then just HIC to fill it out when we don't have them in the inventory module, such as non-HMIS participating programs we wouldn't have. And so in that we see some this apparent swing happening because a program that now is being reported on in the inventory module, we have timely data as of June 30th of how many beds are online. Historically, we may have been using the HIC, so it was a point-in-time data from January 2024, basically at the point of the May report. And so some of those swings happen there, but ultimately, and I just say that to say there's a lot of fluctuation happening from those, but ultimately, sorry, that was loud, what we ended up seeing is some beds go up from that, some beds go down from that. Some programs appear entirely because they're new since the last report, and some disappear entirely because all we really had was the 2024 HIC, and they no longer exist. So that's all this movement we're seeing in those numbers. Ultimately, this 986, the hope, can fully be accounted for by inside safe beds and some pathway home that are within the city of LA. Were the original things we're reporting out of the inventory module when it was new, when we were still getting up to speed. And some of those we realized were over-reporting. It was double counting some beds. And so it's corrections, and this is more accurate now. But this all just reflects changes in what's in the report, not a disappearance of like 1,000 beds in the city.
Okay, I guess that's what I'm getting. I understood the words you were saying, but I didn't exactly follow.
I apologize.
I don't know what an inventory module is, but tell me if, I'm going to summarize it in really simplistic terms and tell me if this is accurate. Yeah. You're saying that we switched the way that we're counting that we're not really losing 1,000, we didn't really see almost 1,000 bed decrease. That it was somehow the way we were counting, we're cleaning it up, and when we cleaned it up, we have 1,000 less beds on paper, but in reality, we didn't lose 1,000 beds?
Yes.
So we were just over-reporting because of a different way of counting. I don't know, it's a lot of beds, so.
Sandy Lee from the CAO's office. Let me try and see if I can bridge the understanding with my own understanding. So as Brian's mentioned, the HIC is a point-in-time inventory, which at the time of this report is about a year and a half old. So basically, at the time of the HIC count, they had counted, they had counted 14,000 beds. Throughout the fiscal year, there may have been programs that had demobilized or ended, or as he has mentioned, I believe like double counting of some of the beds, as well as administrative use beds, which in the new module.
I guess the hard part, and it was from 18,000 to 17,000 is the numbers I'm seeing, looking at.
Yes.
But the hard part for me is I'm hearing three possibilities. One is discrepancy because of the counting. Another is administrative beds, and the other is demobilization. That it could be any one of those three reasons. So that leaves me very baffled in terms of there's 1,000 beds that, for any one of those three very different reasons, are no longer there. Because if it was all demobilization, that would be telling us something. And I don't think that's what it's telling us. And if it was all, I don't know. It just didn't, I hear what you're saying, but I also, it's frustrating because I don't know how to make heads or tails of it.
Follow up and hopefully help. Like, ultimately, the 1,000 we're seeing is noise from us cleaning up to a more precise method of reporting. There's also, in the back end, fluctuations happening from the other two things you mentioned, demobilization and, I forgot the third, apologies. But this 1,000 is just reflecting cleaning up of the reporting and just noise in the reporting, essentially. It is not a change of the beds on the ground.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, LASA data is always fluctuating like that, so it's hard to grasp it, but go ahead.
So it was the same data, but there were errors. And so you took out those errors, that's what you mean by cleaning it up? I'm just trying to get clear on.
For Inside Safe, yes.
Yeah.
For Inside Safe, you said?
Inside Safe, basically, for the inventory module, the 3,197 we see in April 2025 involved basically that was an 1,000 over count because of issues with how it was originally set up. It has been corrected when we made the change to the using inventory for the whole thing. I mean, I could go into details. I know we're like late in overtime and it will probably be detailed, but like it was a coding that made sense when we set it up and was, verified then. But as time went on, we realized there was accruing issues with how that data was being calculated, and it was caught when we made this change.
And I don't know what the ripple effects of, big changes like that are for Alliance and for all sorts of things that we depend on these numbers for, but I don't know what to do with it, so I just was trying to understand it, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say is that for Alliance reporting, I don't think we're using the housing inventory module. We were using the invoicing and stuff from Inside Safe to count those hotel rooms and other things, right, Kendra? We're not using the HIC for that.
Yes, Kendra Leal, CAO's office, that's correct. We double check, when we're doing Alliance reporting, we double check everything. We gather information from the Los Angeles Housing Department, we gather information from LASA, and then we double check it as best as we can with information that we collect ourselves, such as the motel invoices that our office sees. So we definitely, for everything that goes to Alliance, we double check everything. And then, as Councilmember Rahman said, we do not use the housing inventory count for that information.
Okay, but if we have all that great data there, why don't we just use the double-checked information here? I mean, I guess that's what we're doing. I mean,
That's what we're doing now.
yeah.
Yeah, and they changed their, part of the reason that we now have a count of all of our shelter bed sites and vacancy rates across our shelter bed sites is because of this new inventory module. It's not perfect, but it is much better than what we had before. So we went through a data improvement process over the last 12 months that we're still going through, but that's part of what has happened here, partly.
If I could just add, the error with this Insight Safe reporting was like bespoke coding for this report only. So no other inventory module reporting was impacted by this, what was going wrong. That was corrected.
Okay.
I guess how long did it take for you to, I mean, when you start up anything, God knows, I know this, started this job, but you make mistakes. And so I guess how long did it take for you to catch it? And what are kind of the mechanisms, so thanks for highlighting this, Councilmember Blumenfeld, what are the mechanisms for us to kind of fix it and prevent it from happening, or just like the checks that we can just make sure that our numbers are right? Because I'm a Google Sheets savant, but I know that if the formula, the base formula is wrong, you'll find it out maybe later down the line. And so just making sure that we can correct it as soon as possible or learn from this.
Yeah, and internally, our reporting, we've really been trying to get as many things working off the same data sources as possible. So we've got internal protections. This was an early independent usage of reporting off this new module, and that's how it got missed, because when we reviewed it at the time, without going into too much detail, data when it was very new all looked good, and it's only as time passed and people changed things that errors came up in it. So it passed the initial QA, and then when we're looking at it down the line, you know, we share the numbers internally with our teams. It's usually a very tight timeline for this report, so it is, hey, can you please look at this today? We got to get it out the door. And unfortunately, 3,000 looks like about what we'd expect for Insight Safe and Pathway Home. So it didn't pass that sniff test, and then, you know, none of the checks down the line were catching it. So we're constantly internally trying to make our reporting infrastructure more interconnected, so anywhere we review it is catching it everywhere. And this one really just, it got brought into line now, and unfortunately wasn't able to be brought into line sooner, partially because inventory module wasn't really good for reporting out for all programs. Like, everyone wasn't fully entered into the system until April, May, which wasn't enough time to recode this report for the April report.
Thanks for fixing it.
Other questions? No. Okay, great. Thank you very much. What action do we have to take on this, Mr. Vano?
This would be a note and file as well, Madam Chair.
Okay, if you want to call the roll.
Councilmember Rahman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gerardo.
Yes.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
Aye.
3 ayes, and this item is noted and filed.
Great. Anything else before us?
The desk is clear, Madam Chair.
Wow, we did it, guys.
Did it before 5.
And it is 4:59. We did it. This meeting is adjourned.